Kia ora, a little bit of everything in the forecast today. We've got heavy rain making its way up the South Island. Accompanied with that, some strong winds. Ahead of it, some really high temperatures. But by the end of the week and in towards the weekend, we find the return of cooler temperatures and even some snowfall as well. So plenty happening over the next few days. We start off though with that wet weather making its way northwards. Already heavy rain warnings in parts of Fiordland. As we head through the rest of Wednesday afternoon in towards the night time, we'll find that rainfall running up towards parts of Westland, pushing across in towards Otago and Southland. But you can see for the North Island, most of us stay dry, but with more cloud around those western-facing coasts. As we head through the night time, it's a continuation of that rain making its way northwards. Ahead of it, strengthening northwesterly winds. That's going to help push that rain across in towards the headwaters of the Otago and Canterbury rivers. So there is also a heavy rain warning in those regions. And it's worth saying it's also going to be dragging in a fair bit of warm air, which will add a little bit of extra snowmelt to the rivers on those sides of the hills as well. So something to watch out for. But generally that rainfall making its way up the South Island, well, North Island, most of us in for a dry and warm night. Check out these temperatures as we head through in towards the early hours of Thursday morning. Overnight lows on the North Island down to around about 9 degrees Celsius at the coolest, and not much different down on the South Island, 10s to about 12 or 13, but with much more active weather across the South Island. The winds starting to pick up and that heavy rainfall making its way northwards. You can see as we go through Thursday that rain continues to move up through Southland and Otago through the morning, spreading up in towards Westland, Buller, Grey and the Tasman district as we head through the daytime. We've got heavy rainfall warnings across pretty much the entirety of that western coast of the South Island. And like I say, with that heavy rain being accompanied by strong northwesterly winds, we'll find that rain being pushed across and towards the higher parts of the Alps on the eastern side as well. So places like Canterbury and Otago, watching out for your rivers being increased by that rainfall flowing much more from that rainfall falling upstream rather than falling in situ. We'll also find strengthening winds across parts of Canterbury. We have a strong wind watch out for you through Thursday, and you can see those winds increasing around Cook Strait from Marlborough, Wellington, Wairarapa by the time we head through towards the end of the day. So with that in mind, you can see we've already got a fairly busy looking at severe weather chart with those heavy rainfall warnings already in place for Fiordland and up in towards the Otago headwaters. As we head through the next couple of days, we'll find those warnings up across the rest of the western coast as well. But that rain is going to be sticking with us over the next few days. Strong wind watch through the Canterbury High Country. Gusts here perhaps 100 kilometres an hour in the most exposed areas. Similar values for the likes of Marlborough and across in towards Wellington and Wairarapa by the end of the day on Thursday and overnight in towards Friday as well. So it is looking like a fairly active story. We'll start off though with the quieter island, a little bit more settled weather still just about with us. We will find though the winds increasing down through Wellington and Wairarapa through the daytime. That will bring more cloud in towards parts of the Kapiti Coast, a man or two, perhaps a few spots of drizzle, but I think generally a bit more in the way of cloud than anything else. You can see there's a touch more cloud around those western facing coasts on and off through the daytime. By the end of the day, we'll find that rain edging closer towards parts of Taranaki, bringing some showers or perhaps some late rain for you. But for most of us, it's a dry day. We'll find it's also an incredibly warm day, especially in that sunshine on that eastern coast. Highs in Napier, 28 degrees Celsius, an incredibly warm day for you. And then 24 in Gisborne, even up towards Auckland, we're looking at highs of 21 and another very warm night. Lows of 15 degrees Celsius there in New Plymouth and down towards Palmerston North. The South Island, it is looking like a much more active story. Rainfall moves northwards up that western coast, and the heaviest rainfall up about the ranges through there. But you can see we will also find rain in towards Southland and Otago. A bit more in the way of patchy rainfall about the foothills of Canterbury. We might find a few spots towards Christchurch, but more than anything else, I think we'll find it's just generally more cloud around the Canterbury plains until the end of the day. We might just find a bit more in the way of showery weather through there. But the heaviest rainfall on that western coast, we've got those heavy rainfall warnings. Check out the MetService website for the timings and the amounts in your areas. The heaviest rainfall up in the ranges, but like I say, that rain has to go somewhere. It will feed down in towards the rivers. With that extra amount of snow melt as well, will help to lift those rivers over the next couple of days. Clearer weather back with us for Otago by the end of the day, but generally a fairly unsettled looking story for Thursday on the South Island. One thing not lacking though will be our temperatures on the eastern side at least. Those northwesterly winds giving us a real boost in our temperatures. Highs of 22 degrees Celsius in Christchurch, and again our overnight temperatures just about down to single figures, but really not much below. 7s and 8s for places like Queenstown and up in towards Mount Cook. Now we are going to find that changes over the next few days, but I think it is still looking like a pretty unsettled run in towards the long weekend. For Friday, the front remains draped across the top of the South Island, across in towards the lower parts of the north. We'll find for those northern areas up towards places like Auckland, a bit more cloud, perhaps an odd shower for Friday, but most of the time it's a dry one. And dry, I think, again for this eastern side of the North Island for you, very warm once again. It sees developing areas of low pressure on this front, which will spell more unsettled weather for us as we head through towards that long weekend. This low pressure forming off the eastern coast of the Southland drives that wet weather back in towards parts of Canterbury and perhaps even down towards Otago as we head through the end of the day on Friday. Keep an eye on your forecast. Could be some heavier falls through there. Equally, for those northern areas, parts of the Tasman district, parts of Marlborough, even across in towards Wellington, find some of that wet weather. And that low pressure, you can see out over the other side, keeps that rainfall running towards us. Darker blues showing that heavier rain. Remember that cold air and snow I was talking about? That's back with us across the southern parts of Southland, Fiordland and Otago, and even parts of Canterbury, catching that risk of snowfall as we head in towards Saturday. But Saturday is looking like a messy story. Fairly heavy rainfall across many parts of the South Island and up in towards the likes of the north. And as that front runs across the North Island as well, Saturday is looking like a fairly unsettled story for pretty much all of us. Will still keep hold of those stronger winds through Cook Strait as well, and some stronger easterly winds running across in towards parts of Fiordland too. So there's plenty happening as we head through in towards Saturday. By Sunday, the low pressure out towards the west stays close by. Where it sits will be a key player in who gets the wetter weather, but we'll find some of that rainfall runs through in towards parts of Southland and Otago. Clearer skies across the north, cooler temperatures back across the North Island, but with this low pressure still driving in a fair number of showers across those western parts of the North Island as we head through Sunday as well. A fairly unsettled, wet, windy looking end to the week. We've got our temperatures going from extreme highs to some pretty low temperatures as well. The return of that snowfall down through parts of Southland and Otago. And of course that heavy rainfall on the western coast as well. So there's plenty happening, too much to fit into just one show. So please head along to the MetService website for all the latest information in your area. And you can also find those updates to those severe weather watches and warnings. That's it from me.